Welcome everyone to another Meet the Coach interview. Today we're talking with Mary Stieber-Reynhout, and I'm Lindsay Heiserman, one of the co-chairs of the communications for ICF Minnesota, and Mary is my other co-chair. So how exciting that we get to do this today and talk more about her coaching practice. So thank you for being here, Mary.
It's great to be here. I hear you have a reputation for bringing out the best in the coaches that you interview. So I'm counting on it, Lindsay.
All right, well, let's see what happens. We'll cross our fingers. So the first thing, and one of my favorite questions truly, is what brought you to coaching? Everyone has a really unique story.
Well, what brought me to coaching really was my career counselor coach in college. Greg Schneider from Carroll University, class of blah, 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 19 blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was very taken by his professional abilities, his profession overall. So he modeled some wonderful coaching strengths and spurred me on to consider graduate school in counseling psychology. So I would say that my graduate program in counseling psychology continues to be foundational to my own style of coaching.
Yep.
And I'd also say that coaching became an outgrowth of the career that I've built in talent development leadership. And I regard myself as a career strategist, as a leadership development coach, and an overall pretty well-rounded HR practitioner and consultant. And coaching has been core to being effective in all of those arenas. So I feel like I've been kind of pulling it through, and it's been demonstrated in the various roles I've had over the course of my career.
Yes, you didn't go from graduate school straight into a directly coaching career.
No, I did not. I actually worked in a number, in fact, it's probably 6 different career development centers on college and university campuses here in the Twin Cities in a part-time capacity, then full-time, then part-time and adjunct. And so my last round of doing so was at St. Catherine University not too many years ago as an associate director of career development there. So I continue to lean into and leverage my my capabilities in the career management services space.
Yep.
Now as a coach, and I love pulling that through.
Well, I mean, coaching, as we all know, as coaches, you take all of those different experiences that you have personally, professionally, and you weave them through into coaching, right? That's the beauty of it, is you can take pieces of everything and tie it together for your practice.
Yes, it's really true. And I saw how it showed up when I was leading mentoring programs for high potential emerging leaders, and effectively not only coaching mentees, but also the mentors to be effective in their roles. And so it just comes up an awful lot, I think, in a lot of roles that we play, regardless of title.
Yep, I would agree. So what does your coaching practice look like now?
My coaching practice now is really still focused on career strategies and leadership coaching. I am coaching C-suite and 1 and 2 below C-suite. That is, positionally, my portfolio of clients and where they sit organizationally. But I am finding myself expanding more and more in the areas of psychological fitness and resilience, and certainly brought on by all that we've experienced the last 14 or so months.
Yeah.
And The other thing I'm incorporating more intentionally based on demand and need is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and got certified in emotional intelligence assessment. And I'm actually in the process, Lindsay, of pursuing a certification in the area of grief and loss. And that too, I think, is it's just there for people
Yeah.
right now. And I suppose it has always been when one suffers job loss.
Yeah.
But now it's in combination with people who are experiencing deep, if not traumatic, personal loss.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm building out in that area, because I think that'll be well leveraged.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that about grief and loss, because if you don't talk about those things within your coaching, and it's not just death of a person, to your point, grief and loss shows up every day. Grief and loss shows up in your work, in your personal life. And if you don't identify that, it just leaves this huge gap, right, in a
Mhm.
person's experience of their coaching, right? If you don't actively talk about that, that's been something very helpful for me in my practice with clients too, is to
Mhm.
identify that, give people permission to acknowledge their loss.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
big.
It's really true, and it can present as something that's heavy, if not obstructive,
Yep.
um, to moving forward. And that can be problematic as particularly folks who are in career transition, problematic in how they show up at networking
Yep.
events, how they're showing up at interviews. Um, so providing some support and guidance and helping them hold that a little bit,
Yep.
if not compartmentalize and suspend it a bit in order that they can show up well for the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
That's necessary too.
Yes, very. So if an ideal client for you just appeared today,
Mm.
what would that client be like?
Oh, I can think of names and faces there that are in my portfolio even now. And they are indeed people who are looking at the next great thing
Yeah.
career wise. But coupled with that, they are seeking to still hit high notes in their current situation. So these are not
Interesting.
individuals who are out, unfortunately, unemployed. They are in role,
Yeah.
and they're in role doing things like advancing DEI initiatives in their companies and organizations. And that's an area of passion for me. They are global leaders and trying to build their competencies out as more effective
Mhm.
global HR leaders, as well as business leaders. So coaching them to be more effective in that space is a strength, and it's very motivating for me to go beyond borders
Mhm.
to address difference and to equip leaders to be that much more culturally, interculturally, cross-culturally competent.
Mhm.
And so I'm called upon to do that too. But that parallel path, Lindsay, I think of, I'm content, relatively content in my role,
Yeah.
wanting to continue to succeed
Yep.
and hit high notes in doing so. But I'm very aware that I need to be a strategist with my career, because I don't think this is the last stop on my train.
Yeah.
So what's that next thing? And Mary, can you help me
Yeah.
discern that? Um, and so I like building practical skills around that, Lindsay, even practicing for upcoming
Yeah.
interviews, and equipping people to be more effective in Zoom panel interviews. um,
Yes.
so it's not my ideal client is not one who is only intent on gaining increased self-awareness,
Mm,
but that they are in fact wanting to take those insights and learnings and apply them in a focused fashion towards a goal.
yeah.
I tend to be pretty goal directed
Yeah.
myself, and I regard myself as pretty high achieving. So I'd work well with high achievers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
What's that saying? Birds of a feather flock together, right?
well,
Or how it goes?
there's
A little
a
bit like that.
little magnetism, or we find each other. I don't know. It's like
I
you and
hear.
me, Lindsay.
That's right. That's right.
Here we are.
If you could pick, and we've talked about a few of these, and I almost hate to ask this question. If you could pick the one thing you love the most about your coaching work, what is it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to look to my notes here a little bit, because I got a preview of the questions you were going to ask. I guess I would say this. I am honored when I can coach clients when they're wrestling with big,
Yeah.
consequential questions
Yeah.
that are multifaceted, if not gnarly,
Mhm.
and helping them walk through that, navigate that, to gain some clarity, as well as traction, and helping them go from walking to running to
Yeah.
crossing finish lines.
Yep.
And that is just a joy for me, and especially when they're crossing finish lines of their own design, their
Yeah.
own making, and such that they are deriving great purpose and meaning
Mhm.
from the accomplishment. Um, so it doesn't seem to matter so much. I can be sort of agnostic about what that finish line is, but cheering them on from the sidelines is part of that role, and
Yeah.
something about that, given your own
Yeah.
practice. But also mopping the sweat off
Yeah.
sometimes, and that's all part of the journey, that can feel up and down
Yep.
and curvy and all of that. So is
Mhm.
that what you wanted to hear?
Oh, it's great.
Something
I'm
like
only
that?
I'm pausing because
Oh,
I'm
you're
just
fine.
thinking about my own clients too, and how, one of the joys and sort of pains of being a coach is asking the hard questions that lead to the opening up of the next thing. And, kind of watching your clients be in that painful space and allowing them to go through it en route to their goal, or on the way to unlocking what they want. And it's not, I mean, you don't hire a coach because you think it's going to be easy, right?
That's right.
And
That
so being the coach in the situation is equally sometimes as emotionally invested. And so to watch them and be with them as they get to their finish line, or they unlock some new level, if you will, or whatever phrase you want to think about, it's so rewarding.
yeah. Yeah, it is. And in our own ways, both you and me, I think we're inviting people to make good on their gym membership,
Right? Yes. Very good
right? Like,
analogy. Yes.
and I'll hold you to it, and I'll poke a
Oh
little
man.
at it. And yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I have said to, especially like life coaching and business coaching clients, I have said, I'm not here to do the work for you, and I can't.
Mm-hmm.
End of the road. Like, I can't do the work for
Mm-hmm.
you. I can present it to you. I can walk you through this, but like ultimately, if you don't take these action steps, like I can't do them for you. So
Yes.
you're right. Make good on that gym membership. You have to go. You have to show up. You have to do the activities.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Yeah,
That's
we,
right.
we come alongside and do some of the co-creating,
Yeah. Yeah.
but on the production end of things,
Yeah.
it really lands fully on the
Yeah.
shoulders of the client. Um, and if we do offer some of the emotional supports that can be needed along the way, so they feel like they've got a companion
Yep.
on the journey as
Yep.
we are walking them home, so to speak, air quotes, or across a finish line, but it's on them. Yep.
Exactly. All right. So do you have any favorite tools, podcasts, books, or things that you love to help you as a coach?
Yeah, there really were three that just whoop, and they're quite different, Lindsay. One, I really like Amy Edmondson.
Okay.
Amy writes a lot about psychological safety,
Mm,
and that's her jam. And I like I posts how she interacts with people, be it on LinkedIn. I try to tune in when she's delivering a free lecture, webcast, in the company of others. So I care a lot about creating psychologically
yep.
safe spaces and organizations. So that's her. She's an OD person, so it's not just about one-on-one, but it's bigger than that, and
Yep.
I think she's onto something. And another person I like is Lily Zhang. It's spelled Zheng. I
Okay.
follow Lily enthusiastically on LinkedIn, and as well look for her and her webinars. She is outstanding in the DEI space, and
Very good.
absolutely, in my mind, a thought leader. So cares a lot, once again, organizationally, about DEI, growth, change, progress. And the last person is a career management coach that I'm pretty crazy about, because she's so practical and so generous. So I share all three of these because they're all freebies. Really, you can find these women and their stuff without spending a dime. Not that you shouldn't to support their work, but the last person is Hannah Morgan. Hannah Morgan is an exceptional career management coach. She's been in the business for a long time, and she couldn't do it more astutely yet humbly.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate her presence. So all three of them, you can start on LinkedIn
Mhm.
and go from there.
It is just incredible, the resources that we have at our fingertips, from LinkedIn to podcasts to, I mean, so much is free, and so much you can get even deeper with people's work, right? That's why people hire us as coaches, but the knowledge you can get is just vast. Sometimes for me, I spend too much time learning and not enough time doing, right? Because I just love to learn from so many different people.
Mhm.
So great resources for people to check out.
Mhm. I do.
All right.
I do too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. You and I are both relatively new to ICF Minnesota. So tell me, how has ICF Minnesota helped you as a coach?
Yeah. It has begun to help me as a coach because of my newness, and in the areas that you and listeners might expect, and it's indeed the network, and the spirit of generosity that exists in the coaching community. So I'm really grateful for those who authentically care
Yeah.
about my coaching profession and business. And then, of course, resources and tools. And I have to say, my membership to ICF Global exploded my inbox.
Right.
But
There
in
is
terms of
that.
there was so many resources out there that I now have access to by virtue of membership. So I'm appreciating the conscientiousness of the leadership
Yeah.
of ICF Minnesota. So I'm confident of the quality of of product and community that ICF Minnesota can offer me and offer members or non-members who are checking us out.
Exactly right. Well, the last question, and thank you so much for all that you've shared with us about your coaching practice. How would you like people to connect with you?
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. One of two ways. On LinkedIn, and my name is a mouthful. I know that, but it's all there. Mary
It's
Stieber.
less if you type it, right? It's less
Yeah,
of a
right.
mouthful if you
That's
type it.
right. And isn't it on the screen right now? Aren't people seeing it?
Exactly, right?
So there it is. And then my coaching practice is www.threshold-coaching.com. Threshold-coaching.com. So I'd love for you to visit there. Send me a note. Happy to talk. Yeah.
Love it. So definitely check out Mary's website, contact her with other questions, and be a supportive part of the coaching community. So thank you for sharing with us today.
You are welcome. Thank you, Lindsay. Have a good day.